And the idea of aquaponics is that there are two unrelated industries, hydroponics and aquaculture, which have advantages and disadvantages each. And the idea of aquaponics is that you pool the advantages and thereby get rid of the disadvantages. What you do is you put the two industries together. So we feed the fish. The fish waste is still converted by bacteria living in the gravel beds that the plants are rooted in. So it's not duplication of infrastructure, it's the same infrastructure. Those bacteria still convert the ammonia that's poisonous to the fish to nitrates. The nitrates are a primary plant fertilizer. They're taken up by the plants, which in turn cleans the water before it comes back to the fish. So there's zero discharge. There's no waste from these systems at all. The flavors are all returned, and you get natural, in fact you get almost enhanced flavors, and you get really good flavors. And it's a much cheaper way of doing it relative to the other two industries, because you're not including the expensive filters, you've got the gravel beds, and you're not spending money on the expensive nutrients because you've got the fish feed waste. We feed them pellets, we feed them duckweed, and we feed them earthworms. The duckweed is grown here on site from the fish waste from the top tunnel, so we're not completely wasting that. We turn it into duckweed and we feed that to the fish. As a supplement, we also feed earthworms when we compost the vegetables that we don't sell, and the old vines and so forth. That's composted and fed to earthworms, and the earthworms are then fed back to the fish. But 95% of what we feed is a pellet diet, and it's not grain based, it's in fact poultry meal based, with a smattering of soya, maize and wheat as well. We supply most of the restaurants. There are one or two of the restaurants prefer to use dry herbs, so we don't supply them, but we supply the likes of haricots and delizia, and then the cucumbers we supply to the same restaurants and also to Pick n Pay. The fish all go to fusion.
Yeah, no, the quality is very good. The thing is with fish, generally the quality is always going to be good, otherwise they die. That's not always the case, but yeah, no, I mean, you can see by the fins, you can see by the weight. From the fish side, all that Les is doing is he's using his herbs as a biofilter to convert your ammonia to nitrates. Whereas in your typical aquaculture setup, they've got other biofilters which are doing exactly the same thing. You probably won't get much difference on the fish because the aquaponics is really just doing what the biofilter is going to do anyway. Oh, his herbs are very good. I don't have much to compare them to, except possibly what you get at Pick n Pay, and it is a better quality product. They're very good quality herbs. They've got excellent flavour. He doesn't sell many different varieties, so what he's got at the time we sell. And especially his rocket and his sweet basil are very popular.
Aquaponics is a very forgiving technology, but it does have its limits. And at some point, it still remains a fairly skills-intensive activity. To just erect a system for under-educated people, and I say that with all due respect, people who don't have sufficient education in life, in numeracy, in business, as well as in aquaculture or in plant farming, it's going to be very difficult for them to be successful. Very difficult. I would say the only model that I can see really working well is where you cluster them together, and the cluster is big enough to justify a full-time mentor training type person on site whose responsibility is to then basically work as an extension officer moving between those people, and who carries a degree of authority. They do need to be obliged to listen to the instruction given. There are probably thousands, if not tens of thousands, of international examples of people running small-scale aquaponics facilities. But it's all people who've got a reasonable level of education. So where they run into a brick wall, they jump on the internet and go and find an answer. You know, so it may not be 100% efficient, but they're doing the research that's necessary to solve the bigger problems that they're encountering. Aquaponics is a very new industry globally. There was no one doing it commercially in South Africa. So we set up that tunnel to test and refine a whole bunch of questions that we had. We've done that successfully. It's now a commercial operation and we're looking at expanding, but we don't want to duplicate what we've got in the sense of producing low nutrient levels warm water system. The next one is going to be a low nutrient level still, but a cold water system to rear trout. So we'll look at doing trout, watercress and lettuce as our main crops in that system.